Now is the time, and the time is now. My roommates are out currently, so this is the time that I have to talk about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Side note, I'd like to take a time right now to say that I've had a steady decline in subscribers, so if you like this video at all, please be sure to interact with it in some way. Even if you hated it and said, I fell off because I haven't made Sebastian content in a while. But don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. I do have plans for many more of those on-topic things, but it's just been really chaotic. So, what did I think of the movie? Initial reactions, I watched it on Halloween night, as a matter of fact, with my friend, my bud, Tyler. As someone who is really big into the lore of FNaF, and I've been following it since probably 2017-ish, maybe later than that, maybe earlier, give or take, you know. I really enjoyed it. It had a whole lot of Easter eggs that you would only know if you already were following the franchise. That being said, this movie, in terms of enjoyment, probably a 7 or 8 out of 10. In terms of an actual good story, a good movie, I give it like a 5, personally. In terms of like an actual story, if you're not familiar with the franchise, you're not gonna like this movie. It doesn't really do much. The movie is pretty boring, if I'm being honest. But let me get the pros out of the way first. Pros are Jim Henson Studio animatronics looked way better than I even thought they were going to be. I know this is something a lot of people say, but they looked great. When they were angry and evil possessed, they kind of looked a little weird, and I think it's more of a story problem than an animatronic look problem, so definitely good there. I think it had some pretty good comedy. I really wish this movie was rated R, though, because there's one scene that is scary-ish. It's more gory. Spoilers. You see someone get nommed in half, and you see their lower torso just Darth Maul, and it just fall off. Like it was the bite of 87! It was the bite of 87! Except for it was like the bite of 2000. But anyway, that was the worst part of it. And then jump scares by Balloon Boy, which are very understandable if you are familiar with mostly FNaF 2. But watching it, it's a perfect thing. Like, I always love going to the theaters and having the theater experience. But if you and some buds just want to, like, Mystery Science Theater 3000 it, that's the perfect thing to do, because every once in a while you'll get a few lines that are like, hey, he said the line, he said the line. You know, William Afton at the end says, I always come back. And as spring traps are going into him, it was fun. Matthew Lillard absolutely carried this. Almost everybody will tell you that Matthew Lillard was, like, that's why people watched it. And he did a great job, honestly. He really did. And I think all of the actors really did do a good job with what they were given. I like that the bad guy is an ant in this movie, like, besides William Afton. The bad guy for, like, 75% of this movie is the ant who apparently wants custody of Mike, the main character's little sister, for just the government money, I guess, which doesn't make sense if you think about it for half a second, but I'm not going to delve into that. But she's a bad guy, and the bad guys are just idiots. Like, it's stupid. It's a good comparison. Like, I can vaguely think of, like, these movie characters, but I don't remember what they are. But I guess I could say, like, the wet bandits or the sticky bandits from Home Alone 1 or 2. You know, they're comedy at the same time, and so it really detracts from the seriousness of the movie, which would be good if that's kind of what they were going for, but it's not. They were trying to be scary, lore-heavy, but also PG-13, which was hard to do. Now for kind of my complaints. Too many flashbacks. It felt like Children of the Corn a bit, but without much suspense. It kept going back to this thing where Mike lost his younger brother due to a kidnapping, who you can only assume was William Afton, because what else would it be? Just some random kidnapping? No, it doesn't really tie in. It makes there be like a, oh, there's this guy and he's here to finally get revenge on the guy who kidnapped his brother and killed him, allegedly, which we do find out at the end. Spoilers again. Sorry about that. It really detracted. It was a long, kind of boring movie because of how much there was of that. Honestly, that and just the animatronic story. So the animatronics begin kind of like how FNaF works. There's animatronics, and they come and get the guys, and they kill them, and you don't really see them, which is great. You show less, let everything be in the mind, like I talked about in that one episode of One Piece. But then we get to a point where Mike's sister is able to communicate with the animatronics, or at least the ghosts inside of the animatronics, who are also children, and then it's all fine. We meet Vanessa from Security Breach, who's in here for some reason, who is just filled with so many contradictions in her statements, and it just doesn't make any sense. So one minute, like, Mike is, like, very hesitant about these animatronics who have killed people, or have the capacity to do so at least. He's saying, all right, little sister, who I can't remember the name of, we need to set some boundaries if you're going to play with them. Don't you agree, Vanessa? Then Vanessa goes,
I think you should play with them all the time.
And then, some 5 minutes later, she is talking to Mike in one of the back rooms. She's like, don't ever bring your sister back here again, or I will shoot you. Kid you not. That's what she says. She's a cop, by the way, which doesn't make any sense. And I'm not going to arrest you or, get you fired. It's like, I'm going to shoot you. Without, being specific as to why, because I feel like if you're going to threaten to kill someone, you should at least lay it out straight. Not just at the end when she's like, I was trying to tell you in my own way. Well, what I did tell you was that that Darth Vader did kill your father, which was true from a certain point of view. It was so stupid. It made no sense. And that's just, basically the quality of writing that we're talking about. It was rough. However, that does make me think of another positive that is unrelated to that, but MatPat was in it. Also, some other YouTubers were in it that I don't follow. There's apparently a list of Employee of the Months, which are a bunch of streamers and gamers. MatPat did a pretty good job. He had one of those, he's a waiter, and he's talking to the main character and his aunt, who are talking about blah lawyer stuff, which the lawyer is also a great character, even though he's only in it for 2 minutes. But I've seen some quality memes from him. But MatPat's in there, and they're like, oh, we should get breakfast, it's the most important meal of the day. And then MatPat's like, actually, it's lunch. And then he goes on this whole list of reasons why, and then goes, but that's just a theory. So in the theater, I'm like, he said the thing. And that was just something I was very happy about. But again, if I didn't know who MatPat was, I just would have been like, what? But again, that's kind of where, movies of 5, but anyone who's been part of the FNaF space, I get it. It is a 7, maybe an 8 out of 10 in terms of that sort of enjoyment. All in all, it was a fine movie. There was some sequel bait. There have been significantly more in-your-face sequel bait in movies before. If they do that, I really don't know what they could do. They could do 3. You can't really do 2 because it's just the same thing but with more controls. 3 is just somebody else finding and releasing William Afton. Or you could have the nightmares from 4, but that doesn't really make any sense. So then you might be able to do Security Breach, but that was also kind of this movie. But if they do it again, I'd really like to see it be an R. I know that's not really what Scott Cawthon or anyone wants to do with this franchise, is make it an R-rated film. But if you're going to have a horror film, you can't not do R unless you do a Jaws type thing where there is like, you barely see any of the animatronics and you just see like leftovers of what happened. But yeah, anyway, that is my spewage of things. Didn't have much time to think of any, well, I've had all week to think about stuff. Haven't written anything down. This is just my straight consciousness going into the camera and microphone. So let me know what you thought about it. This was actually requested by multiple people, my thoughts on this movie. So thank you for checking this out. I think I'm uploading this to my second channel, maybe the Copics channel. Like I said, please consider subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing. It really helps the algorithm send this out to more people. Also, like 90% of the people who watch these videos aren't subscribed. I don't know if that's true, but it does seem to be like that. So thank you everyone so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video, which will hopefully be Sebastian Black Butler, maybe Minecraft related. Peace!